I am the Tillamook County Clerk. I have worked in this office for 30 years as of August 9th. And the reason I want to point that out is, as Fred alluded to, I've been here pre-vote by mail. And we in Oregon decided prior to an initiative petition that was put on the ballot in 1998, we had about 60% of absentee voters throughout the state of Oregon. And that seemed to be what everybody was seeming to like to do, was basically vote by mail by doing the absentee way. And so that's why the initiative petition was started back then, and it was passed in 1998, and we've then been, it's been implemented and been in place for 20 years. I'm proud to say I've been here during that time, and there's been you know, a lot of work to get to where we are now. And so I feel like we have a really good system. I'm sure we'll have more changes before I leave, and that's the evolution of life and working. I am absolutely happy for any questions. I'm good with questions as we go along, or if you guys want to wait till the end, I'm open for whatever you want to do. So with that, I really appreciate this group and how active you are. And it's been very active for many years with many different folks. And it's awesome how you guys will help get people registered to vote, ask people to vote. And those are, you know, those are my goals, is to have, I would love for everybody to be registered to vote that's eligible to vote, and get their ballot and then vote it. Wouldn't it be so cool if we had 100% turnout someday? Well, that's probably not going to happen. That's probably unrealistic, but it's a great thought. So, and while people are getting really excited about this November election coming up, there are people contacting us already and saying they want their ballot. Why don't they have their ballot already? Well, there's this thing where there's deadlines for things to happen, such as candidates to be able to file. We just had the deadline for candidates to file with cities on Tuesday. People can still withdraw till this Friday, which is tomorrow. We also have, and then cities are the filing officers for those candidates. We also had some district election stuff that's happening on this November election. And and ballot measures can still be turned in till September 3rd. So I can't print ballots if I don't have all of the stuff to do that with. The September 3rd date is also when the Secretary of State's office certifies to me what they will need to have on the ballot. So they send that out as well. And then we can go through and I can set up this election in our Oregon centralized voter registration system, get that information to our printer, and then they get the ballots set up, and then we proof them, and then they can start printing them. And until I have them in my physical hands, I cannot issue them to the voters who are active. So we get to wait till I do all that fun stuff. Vote by mail is under quite a bit of an attack, I'm sure, as you've heard nationally. There are more states coming on board to be vote by mail fully. There are a lot of states that are doing absentees, the majority of the ballots that they're sending out. So I think vote by mail is wonderful. And I welcome anybody to ask questions about the process and how we've moved to where we are now. Fred and I just recently had a great conversation about that as well. We have worked really closely as county clerks and the Secretary of State's office with the post office. In Portland, we have conference calls, or if there's anything going on, we reach out to them. We also do that with our local post offices. I will just call them if I find out there's a problem. I like to find out what there might be a problem or not a problem, and investigate what that is. So I feel like we have a good base and from all the 20 years that we've been working on vote by mail to get the ballots to the voters and back. I don't feel I see that it really should be any different at this election than have been. We've been assured by the gentleman in Portland, he's going to do everything he can as before to take care of us as voters and get the ballots back to our office. Voter pamphlets are also going to be going out from the Secretary of State's office. Those will go out to one per address. So if there's locations such as apartment buildings that can, if they don't, pay attention to that, the postal person would need to maybe request that they need more to deliver to those folks. So that's, a good thing. Those will be going out the same time as the actual regular ballots, which is October 14th. So voter pamphlets will be coming prior to that. So, and there's also that online as well. The gentleman from Portland's name is Danny, and of course I'm gonna go blank. I can get that information to you. I saw that in the chats. Trying to help you out, Mary. And so one thing that I want to say is that each person, if you're registered to vote, the last day to register to vote as a new voter is October 13th. Voters who are active or inactive can update their registration all the way through election day and still get a ballot. That being said, when a person is registered, they can update within the state. So that means if someone lives here in Tillamook right now, and next month on the 1st of the month, they move to Multnomah County, they're going to update their registration. And if I've issued them a ballot already, their first ballot that I issued them would be inactivated. Then their second ballot would be active in Multnomah County. And that's a fail-safe so that they can only vote one ballot. Now, we have processes in the vote by mail manual and that we follow in order to make sure only one ballot gets turned in. And as many of you know, once ballots come back from voters, we put them in the computer. We do check every signature of every voter's ballot to make sure that it matches. I know several of you have been here, observed, and I've shown you how how we do this. And I think that you guys are pretty excited about that whole process. It's quite a bit of work. Sometimes people's signatures don't match. When that happens, then we send that person a letter to say, yeah, your signatures doesn't match. And they have 14 days after the election to cure that with us. Sometimes people forget to sign their envelope, and we also can send them a letter to say that they need to make sure to take care of that. And that's the 14 days after the election. That's part of the reason that you don't necessarily get the results of what exactly the final count is on election night, because people have that, timeline in order to get those cured. We do have a new postage paid is now in effect in the state of Oregon. So ballots, you don't have to put postage on them. If you still are concerned about the post office getting your ballot back to us in a timely fashion, or any concern at all, we still have our ballot drop boxes that we have throughout the county. Those are going to remain the same as we've had previously, and you'll see those on your secrecy envelope as you've seen in the past. However, we have added the library here in Tillamook. It was only on Friday before the election through election day only inside. Now we have put a drop box outside, which is a 24-hour drop box. And here at the courthouse, at the bottom of the stairs on the left-hand side of the building, where you normally come straight up into my office, we have added a 24-hour drop box there as well. So you are more than welcome to use the others that have been around forever, as well as those 2 additional ones. We will be having some struggles since the commissioners, yes, Fred? Fred, you're on mute.
Tassi, I just have a couple of quick questions.
Sure.
Um, you were referring to the gentleman in Portland, and I believe that is the postmaster. Is that correct?
I believe he is.
That was the person that you were talking about that you're working with.
Yes, I think so. I probably need to confirm that. I just remember his name's Danny. And he's been just amazing. I'd have to look, and I'm
Okay.
happy to do that and let you know.
And then Sonia had a quick question.
Um, I have more questions later, but the first one is, I have seen people say, well, I will take people's ballots and drop them off for them. But I know there was an incident where somebody didn't drop, it said their group was going to drop off ballots and they never delivered them. So I just wanted to know your opinion of that.
Well, the director at the Secretary of State's office, Steve Trout, said at one of our meetings, he said to put it like this: would you be willing to give someone, trust them enough with money to go to the bank and deposit it in the account? And I told him I would trust him with my money. So that would be, I would trust him with my ballot to turn it in.
Mhm.
Maybe you need to consider it the same idea. Are you sure that this person would turn it in for you? That's the question. So if you are leery of it at all, I would make sure I, put it in the mail or put it in a drop site yourself. So there's also the point of, you can always go on www.oregonvotes.gov under My Vote, and you can check to see if you're registered to vote and at the correct place, residence, mailing address, party, as well as see if your ballot has been returned. So people could check that. If you gave your ballot to somebody a week ago and you go on there and your ballot's not there, then you can go, what's going on?
Are you able to hear me, Tassi?
Yes.
This is Yvette. I want to be 100% sure. There's nothing illegal about us collecting ballots for people. So if we had, say, a group get together and do all their voting together, one person could take them all and drop them off at the courthouse without any legal ramifications.
It's not illegal as long as you don't say you're an official drop site or an elected sworn
Okay.
deputy.
What was the last part there?
Or you don't state that you're a sworn deputy for the, my office.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
So as we move into the Diane.
Weatherwax. Can you hear me?
Barely can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, we met over the phone the other day.
Yes, we did.
On the deal on picking up ballots for me or for them to drop them off. I think I talked to the Bollingers, and I want to volunteer my service that if somebody doesn't feel comfortable or can't get to a ballot box or a polling place, I don't care where you are in the county, I want to set up something at a day or a time that I could come and get that person in my vehicle. They wear a mask. They can sit in my back seat. If somebody's not comfortable giving their ballot to somebody, I don't know how to put that out. It was one of the reasons I came aboard this group, and I understand the Bollingers are going to start a schedule for people that are volunteering to do that. I don't know if anybody else is interested or if this has been done in the past. I just wanted to put that out there. Was I heard?
Yes, Diane, this is Fred. Thank you so much for that. And I think maybe we will link up with our communications team and see how we can get that message out to people through our website and Facebook. And if there's an organized group, the Bellingers certainly are both precinct committee persons, and you are a welcome guest, and that's something that would be a wonderful offer.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Tassi.
Okay. Oh, there, Susan had her hand up. Would you?
I just wonder if, as a Democratic Party, if by can we say, hey, I'm part of the Democrat Party and I'm willing to pick up your ballot? Does this need to be personal, or can we represent the Democrat Party of Tillamook and do this without liability?
I think as a group, you could organize to do that as the party. I think you would have to disclaimer that you are with the group, or if you're going to do it individually with folks, you would have to just do a disclaimer of that as well. But you'd want to make sure to say you're not any official, in any official capacity for the elections office.
And if I'm going to interject, I think what Diane was suggesting is that she would take somebody to the ballot box, or to get let them put their ballot in the box, which is different. And we do have, the ballot boxes are pretty well distributed all over the county. And anyway, I think we should maybe look at that and see, talk about that among ourselves a little bit more, and see what the best way to approach that is. But anyway.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Fred. And then Andrea had a question.
Yeah, you indicated that you don't need to put postage on your ballot, and it'll go through the post office and it'll get delivered timely, even without postage.
Okay, so the new changes for the postage paid, that was a new legislation that went through. For Tillamook County, our first one was May, that the postage is paid. We had to print up new envelopes for this to happen. And Logan, it is first class mail. It's by a permit. So basically what happens is the post office counts how many of these there are, and then the bill is sent to the Secretary of State's office to pay. My concern as the county clerk for Tillamook County, my concern is when the state says they run out of money, that then it's going to be on the counties to pay that. And you know, we're not rich either, so that's my concern for the future. But that's what is, you know, the state's paying for it at this time, so we'll see how things move along. But yes, for the timeliness of postal things, Andrea, I feel, you know, with anything, you know, the postal department has become busier since COVID's happened. People are ordering things more online, by mail, and that type of thing. So if you are concerned about how long it takes your ballot to come, you'll want to make sure that you're going to get that in the mail so that you're positive it's going to get to us in time. Because postmarks do not count in Oregon. So it has to be in our hands by 8 p.m. on election day. Now we do go to around the state. We do, as county clerks, do go to the post office as close to 8 p.m. as we can for some of the rural ones. So I can go here in Tillamook County about 6 p.m. on election night. That's as late as they have anybody at that post office. Now out in Multnomah County, where our distribution center is in Portland, they have, Multnomah County goes there, gets all the ballots they can at 8 p.m. When they collect those, it's ballots from all counties within the state, and that is allowed by law. Then they have to get those to us in a trackable mail in 5 days. So you can turn your ballot in any county clerk's office, any drop box, as long as it's in a county clerk's office hands by 8 p.m. Then we send it on to the others. So if that helps your thoughts of that as well, but postmarks do not count.
Tassi, we have a question from Yvette.
Sure.
Yeah,
Oh.
Tassie, there's a Facebook meme going around regarding the postage that says extra postage required. So how can we say to voters, really succinctly that it is incorrect, because it says postage paid, and then there's underneath it says additional postage may be required, and they're basically trying to tell people you might have to add more postage. So that's kind of freaking people out. So how can we tell them that this is not an accurate meme, because it's traveling pretty quickly. I've seen it several times. So I want to be able to tell them with confidence that it is paid and that it's going to not weigh more. They're trying to say there's going to be a loophole, that it's going to weigh too much, things like that.
Okay, I'm so glad that you asked that question. So when I know from years past that whenever there's a ballot that's going out to the voters and there's concern that it might weigh more because there's a lot. So let's say in 2000 in Tillamook County, we ended up sending out 2 ballots to each voter. One ballot had all the ballot measures on it, and the other one had the candidates, because we had so much on there. And I think even with that in the secrecy envelope and your golden, I do not believe at that time there was extra postage that was necessary. If that's going to be an issue in a specific county or throughout the state, we as county clerks have made it very clear to the voter that it could weigh more. So if you don't see a notice in your ballot from the county clerk specific, it will not be an item. Now, if you were to go put a rock in it from the beach, then you might have a problem. But if you were to, the common sense thing is to take your ballot, vote it, put it in your secrecy envelope, and return it in your golden envelope. We have golden envelopes in Tillamook County because it looks like our Tillamook cheese color, and I have stuck with that because I really like it. Well, I love cheese, so we'll just say that. But I'm glad you asked that question, and I want to offer out, if there are any questions like this or anything where people are sharing this information, please check with me and I can give you the right information about what is or is not true. And I'm happy to do that because it's bad to have miscommunication out there. There's also the fact of in Oregon, and this one kind of started getting me a little bit upset. People were saying that we put on the outside of the envelope what party you are. We do not do that in Oregon. It doesn't say Republican on your outside of your envelope. It doesn't say Democrat on the outside of your envelope, because there's a law in Oregon that says we don't do that. Now I can, and I want to remind you too, I can only speak about Oregon in an efficient manner. I don't know the rules and the laws for other states. But I mean, I could look into it. But love the fact that you can ask, those questions so we can get it, the information out to people.
Tassi, I'm going to interrupt. We have a question on, and I think you answered it already earlier, but the list of, this is from Diane Colcord, a list of locations for the ballot boxes, the drop boxes, which I think you said was actually on the ballot or on the envelope.
It's on the secrecy envelope that gets mailed out to you. All of our ballot drop boxes will be the same that they have been, except for the library. The Tillamook Library used to be only on Friday through Tuesday, and now we have a 24-hour drop box that's outside. That will not be indicated on your secrecy envelope because I'm not going to reprint those secrecy envelopes, but I will be doing news releases for that part. We have also added a ballot drop box at the bottom of the stairs on my end of the courthouse. So the left-hand front doors, There's a ballot drop box actually out there now. We're allowing people to put recording documents in there. People are actually going to be able to, people can put their tax payments in there, or anything else they need to get to the tax office in our office. Our office is the only office that has keys. There's nobody in the tax office has a key to that. So it's only us. I've partnered with the tax assessor, Denise Vandecouvering, that they can have their folks put things in there and we will deliver them to them. So other than that, the rest of the drop sites we've had for years around the county will be the same.
And Tassi, do you, if you go to the county clerk's website, are those posted on there as well?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that. That will be updated, but I have not put that on there as of yet. And our webpage is under construction. I am the webmaster, and with all of my other duties that I have, there's only 4 of us in my office, and that's including me. And you can imagine doing, okay, we're just talking about elections right now, but we do recordings for deeds, mortgages, and liens. Anything the commissioner signed, county court journal gets filed in our office. We do dog licenses, passports, marriage licenses. All of those things are required by law, mandated for our office to do, except for passports. And I can tell you, people love that we can do passports and take the pictures here. So, so I haven't got, I usually am a little farther ahead on updating the website, but I do not have that done right now. So it's under construction, but I will get that done. So, and it will be on there as soon as I can get some time to get that on there. So the drop sites will be on there, as well as you've seen over the years, a lot of you, what candidates will be on there for results and measures as well. There has been a new system in the last several years, which is called election night reporting. The Secretary of State's office we're gonna have that link on there as well, which is a statewide system that has the returns on it as well. So it's a really cool thing, but I double up because I get concerned. If their system goes down, then I have my backup for my own here for us. I just feel more confident. So I'm double doing my work for you to have those results on there. So, and we update those as close to 8 p.m. as we can, and then update it periodically throughout the night.
Okay. I see another question from Mary McGinnis.
You're probably, thank you, Fred. You're probably going to cover this, Tassi, but once the ballots reach you, are you going to talk about the way that they're counted and the openness that ensures, because I know there is a policy for this, but the openness that ensures that everything is counted fairly?
Yes. So when the ballot comes back to our office, and many of you have observed this over the years, I see familiar faces that were here and I went over this stuff with. When the ballots come back, we date stamp them, and we put them in batches of the area that they came in. We count them. We put them in the computer for where they came. So maybe I'm gonna go get all the ballots from the post office this morning, and I'm gonna date stamp them, I'm gonna count them. I'm going to put them in OCDR, and what that means by putting them in OCDR, I'm gonna, each voter has a barcode that they get for each specific election. That then when that barcode goes in the computer, it brings your computer signature up, and then we look at it and make sure it looks like it's your signature. And then as we complete that batch, we make sure that the amount of how many ballots we thought we had to begin with, and at the end of that batch matches. Then we precinct them and put them in bundles of that. We do have cameras in the locations of the majority of the office where the ballot processing stuff has happened. We also have observers that can come. We do have very limited space. So Fred, I'm sure we'll appoint someone to be in charge of the observers for the Democratic Party. And we're gonna need a list of that ahead of time under the rules that there are for observers. And we have a TV monitor camera that we set up. that you can sit and watch the process. And I always usually go over that with every observer that comes and kind of explain things as we move through them. And I think Logan has a question.
I think I'm just going to jump in, and Sonia had her hand up first.
Sorry.
Well, they can't see me.
Nobody can see Sonia, but she's
I'm
here.
I know in the past, we were helping out when there was a problem with the ballot, it wasn't signed or something, and you sent them a letter. And I don't know if Tom Harmon can participate. I know he's listening on the phone. I think we were helping to collect those ballots or something. I don't know how this is all going to work with the COVID thing going on now.
Well, we have a process where the form that we send to the folks,
Okay.
what they do is we send that form out to them. They can sign that and return it. They can either scan and
great.
email it, drop it in the ballot drop box if those are still open, mail it. As long as it's in our hands by the 14th day after election, then we can count it. So the process changed from a long time ago where we used to send the envelope back out to the voter. We don't do that anymore. We only send this affidavit that they sign to say, yes, I voted my ballot. Here's my signature.
Oh, great, great. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And now we have Logan.
Howdy, thank you. I was just wondering if is OCDR the system that kind of lets the Secretary of State's website and with the My Voter system where you can go in and see if your ballot's been checked in and all this stuff? And if so, what is the wait times for, when somebody submits a ballot to the system being updated? So in past elections, I would get I would tell somebody they could check my vote, but they would let me know, oh, I checked it, but I submitted it, but it doesn't show up yet. What can I tell them, like how long is reasonable to wait before you're able to see that information be updated?
So that's a good question. And my answer is going to be, it may vary from when we actually pick up the ballots to when we actually have them in our hands to put them in the computer. So, so we go to the post office every morning to get whatever there is at 9 a.m. in the morning. So I guess my point is if somebody goes to the post office and they go to the Tillamook post office, just because they dropped it in the post office like today at 3 p.m. doesn't mean that I have it in my hands to process it. It also doesn't mean I'm going to get it at 9 a.m. the next day when with the rest of the batches. So there's the different little bit of wait time for when I would actually have it in my hands. When I go do the ballot drop pickups, it depends on when I go to get them. Sometimes it depends on how fast people are turning them in or those type of things. So it can vary depending on when someone drops it in to when it gets put into the computer.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to mention for the minutes that we started the meeting and we voted on the consent agenda with 22 PCPs in attendance. Now we are at 24 PCPs in attendance. So sorry for the interruption.
Okay, Logan, I'll report back to you. I wrote down 4 people that I think didn't get in the log. So, and I'll report to you on that. So, Tassi, what I would like to ask is if you have, I see Kim Borman has her hand up, possibly, with a question.
I probably missed it because of arrival, but if the ballot is not signed or is irrecognizable, like a guy gets Parkinson and his signature is like totally off from previous years, are those ballots rejected?
Well, if they don't cure them by the 14th day after the election, then it would be rejected. So they would have to either fill out a new voter registration card, which they can do. And we actually, a lot of times, I've even actually personally called someone and said, it looks like your signature's changed quite a bit. Did you actually sign it? And they say, oh, wow, you did catch that. Yeah, I broke my right hand and I signed it with my left. And I'm like, well, that would explain it.
Yeah.
So there are those things. And so, you know, and they'll say, well, you know, my broken hand's going to mend. So my signature probably will go back to what it looked like reasonably as time goes along. Or if, you know, or if it's going to change enough to where they're going to have to sign with their left hand forever, say, I don't know, I had an accident when I was sawing some logs and I took one of my fingers off, and I'm just going to decide to sign with my left hand from now on and forever. It might be different because of that. And there are different reasons for people's signatures changing, just like you said, the Parkinson's in one instance. Some is as younger voters, when they first are signing things, legal documents, their signatures start to evolve.
Yeah,
As we get older, our signatures change as well. So, and some people will sign, they'll say that, well, I have a legal signature, and then this is my other signature. And so we
Right.
work through all those issues with people. So that's not a problem for us to reach out to folks or have them reach out to us, you know, if they think that there's you know, a concern. And people do that. They'll say, I want to come sign it in front of you so you know it's my signature because I've got this going on. And so I'll watch them at the counter. I'll initial that it's okay, and we move on. Different things like that.
But if they just totally forget to sign it and just throw it in the mail, are those tossed in the bin?
That's the same thing. We send them an affidavit that they have 14 days. They can sign that affidavit to say that they voted that ballot, sign it and turn it back into us, and we attach it to their actual ballot they voted, as long as they do it by the 14th day after election by 5.
Okay. All right. Thanks
So
for your
Tassi-
input.
Tassi, I see we have a couple more questions, but I was going to ask before we go to those, because we're running out of time. Do you have anything else that you just totally needed for us to hear, first of all? And secondly, can you, I know you must be getting exhausted. You've been in your office all day, and you've told us everything you have to do. But can you stick around with us and possibly ask a few questions if people have them after we take care of some of our other business?
I'll speak to the items that I want to make sure that I hit before I answer the second question. I want to make sure, I know I said that, you know, if you hear rumors of anything that doesn't seem right, and you are questioning something or something's bothering you, please call me. You can email me. You can, so our phone number here is the 503-842-3402. My email address is tonneil@co.tillamook.or.us. We have a generic email in the office that you can also reach out to, which is clerk@co.tillamook.or.us. You can refer to our website and the Secretary of State's office website, as I had spoke of before. I feel like vote by mail, it's a secure system that we have, and I'm very actually proud of it. And I told you about that. And then, of course, once we have the 14 days for people to cure the bad, we call them bad signatures. That's not very nice, is it? The signatures that don't match, or the non-signatures on the ballots. That's 14 days. Then we have 20 days, which is right after that 14th day, to certify the election results. So that's a quick turnaround. I also want to just make sure to say, that on Monday, I believe there's a possible, it sounds like there's going to be some recall petitions turned into the Secretary of State's office for Governor Brown. If that happens, the Secretary of State's office will have 10 days to verify those signatures. After the 10 days, if they get enough, there would be 5 days to call the election. After the 5 days, 5 days for the statement of justification for the candidate to resign or put a statement of justification in. If the statement of justification goes in, then we would call the election, Secretary of State's office would call the election within 35 days. And then we would be having an election. It appears to me October 20th would be that election date. That is 2 weeks exactly prior to the presidential election. It is mind-blowing to me that this is going to be an interesting time, but I believe in the clerks in the state and the Secretary of State's office. We can do this, as well as you know, it will confuse voters, but we'll just have to work through it the best we can, and I think we can do it. Overseas ballots and military, they go out 45 days prior to elections. So the ones for the November election will go out September 19th. Out-of-state ballots go out October 5th. Regular ballots are going to go out October 14th. The last day to register to vote was the October 13th date. And I saw somebody ask a question about the overseas. So I'm thinking those were the main things that I wanted to cover. I've probably forgotten a few things. People can update their registration on that online, but they can also call our office or make an appointment to come into our office to fill out new voter registration card as well. That's one thing too. We are in the COVID time where you're supposed to make an appointment with our office a day ahead of time in order to come in the office. That's a little difficult. We worked through that in the May election. It's going to be a little even more complicated in the November election. But if for some reason, you know, someone says I need to come in to fill out a voter registration card, I ran outside and just helped people as well as my staff. Or if someone says, well, my dog ate my ballot and I need a replacement, we'll get them a new one and we'll come out and hand it to them if that's what they'd like. And we're trying to do as much as we can through mail, dropping things in the ballot boxes, over the phone, and mailing things. But there's still times where you just need to come into our office, and we're going to make that happen. We'll work through it. So I wanted to make sure that that was out there as well.
So, Tassi, I think I'm going to allow the 2 questions, and I hope we'll kind of make them brief. We do have things to cover. And I'm going to suggest that we will post maybe a little block, and with the permission of the Communications Committee, that includes your contact email and telephone numbers on our webpage, so that if people have a question or have something suspicious, as you suggested, that number is on our webpage for the election.
That sounds fabulous. If
Okay.
for some reason you call and I'm not available at the time and you leave me a message, I will get back to you.
All right. And I saw 2 questions earlier, and I'm going to limit the questions to those. Andrea, you had your hand up?
I wanted to let Kim Borman know, I wanted to clarify, because I think she missed when Tassi talked about actually notifying everybody who hasn't signed properly or forgot to sign, that she actually contacts all those people. But I think she made that clear to Kim.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
that's all.
And Yvette, did you, I think Yvette had another question.
Tassi,
We're not hearing you, Yvette.
yeah. Oh, sorry, there was a weird double of Andrea's voice. So, okay. So my question is there, for Tassi, is there a prepared statement addressing fraud? Oh, sorry, there was a weird, the ballots are generated with a unique barcode system, and is there, for Tassi, is there checked by visual signature by members of the clerk's office and with observers? Is there something like that that's prepared that we can share with people? Chaz, the validated with the having a technical difficulty.
I couldn't quite hear the whole question. When we verify signatures,
Can you hear me now?
yeah.
It's just if is there a better statement?
Yvette, you're
Can you hear
breaking,
me now?
and it's breaking up. I
It's
wonder,
statement. Is there a better statement?
can you type your question in on the chat? Yvette?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. We're waiting for Yvette to do that. I want to thank Tassi. This is extra duty, and after a long day in her office, and she's got a lot to do. I wish you could see us all applaud, but I would like to thank her very much. So, Tassi, Yvette's question is there a prepared statement regarding concerns of fraudulent ballots?
That's a good question. I don't know if I know the answer to that specifically. I could check on that and get back to you on that. I know the Secretary of State's office has put out question and answers on a lot of different things. I do know in my experience from indications that they have given us, I've seen things in the past to where there in the vote by mail a timeline that we've had over the 20 years, there have not been very many cases where there's been that much fraud in the state of Oregon. And the Secretary of State's office is the one who investigates that, and then they can imply criminal charges or fines for depending on what the item is. Like on your ballot, it talks about signing another person's name to an envelope is a Class C felony. And so I could find out, get something back to you guys.
Okay, I would appreciate that. Well, again, Tassi, thank you so much. I hope you get to go have a nice dinner and know that we Democrats are still working here even after you leave us.
Well, I want to thank you so much for your time, and I honestly, I appreciate the time I have with you. So I'm happy to spend this time with you to communicate so we, I can answer your questions and you feel comfortable with the system that we have and what we are doing or not doing. And so my time spent with you is more beneficial to me than I feel like it might be to you because I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Tassi, as the person who's coordinates our website and Facebook, I want to piggyback on what Yvette just asked, because I would like to put something both places that addresses fraudulent voting or whatever, or the lack of fraudulent voting. So I just want to clarify. So are you saying the best place for me to get that would be to go to the Secretary of State's office?
They have some really good information, and that's where I would get a lot of mine. And so what I can do now that I know that you are the one that's doing that, I'm happy. I'm going to be doing more press releases. And if there's specifics, once I start sending some of those out to you that I get and put together, if there's other specifics that you're wanting or needing, just let me know and I will do my best to get those to you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you again, Tassi. So we are going to move on to the next item on our agenda.